press start already, just so in case the room's really zoom.
Hello, everybody. Nice. So can you guys hear me okay before we get started? Can somebody give me a thumbs up or say yep? Hey, Chelsea, can you hear me all right? Cool. Awesome. All right, so let me get going here and we'll get ready to roll. So, we're a little tall here. Turn this up. There we go. So, welcome everybody. So this is Brad. I'm Brad, and this is Kristen. And so she's going to help me today go through over the Ashtanga series a little bit. So we're going to add a little bit of maybe some newer work as far as introduction to the practice, and maybe just kind of hit some of the highlights about this practice, what makes it a little bit different from other practices. And so welcome, and we'll get ready to go here in just a moment. I'll give just another minute or so for people to check in. So I'm super happy that all of you have chosen to wake up early this morning, and hopefully this is really good. The hardest part is knowing what to say in the beginning. Awesome. All right, so we'll start in Samastihiti, bringing hands to heart center. Let's go ahead and do the invocation. We'll do a calm response, beginning and ending with an Om. So let's go ahead and take a deep breath, inhaling. Vande Gurunam, Vande Gurunam, Chardanaravinde, Chardanaravinde, Sandarshita, Sandarshita, Swatma Sukha Vavote, Swatma Sukha Vavote, Nishrayase, Nishrayase, Jangalikaya Mane, Jangalikaya Mane, Samsara, Samsara, Hala, 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 Moha Shanti Aye, Moha Shanti Aye, Abahu Purushakaram, Abahu Purushakaram, Shankachakara Siddharinam, Shankachakara Siddharinam, Sahasra, Sahasra, Shirsam, Shirsam, Shvetam, Shvetam, Pranamami Patanjalim, Pranamami Patanjalim. Arms to the side. So we start in Samastihiti. We want to find this nice uprooted, strong posture. Is lifted up through the back of the neck and then drawing the chin gently down. And then the ribs hug in just a little bit so that she's nice and engaged from the front of the body. Drawn the front of the tailbone's drawn down. The hips are pressing kind of nicely rooted down into the floor through the sitting bones. And so we're going to start with the first three postures from the Sun Salutation series for just a moment. So we'll take some extra time in the breath. So inhales, her arms come up for Ekam, the first posture here. Her palms press together, and she lets her head draw back so she can look up at her thumbs. And she wants to hug the rib cage in and draw the groins back just a little bit so the inner thighs hug back so she's nice and firmly engaged, lifting up out of the root of the floor from the pelvis. And then as she exhales, she's going to swan dive it forward, nice long exhale as she forward folds At the very last, she brings her hands down to the floor. Eventually, her palms down to the floor, but for right now, since it's the first one, she can just bring her fingertips down to the floor. And then she lengthens out her spine, and something like a halfway lift. Her chin comes up just a little bit, and then she folds forward again for a third posture there. And then reverse swan diving, rising up, little fingers, middle fingers, ring fingers, moving towards touching, and exhaling the arms to the side. Let's do that 3 more times. So strong legs, groin drawn back, inhale, arms come up, press the palms together, and then exhale, fold from the waist, lead with an open heart, hands down to the floor. At the last, coiling tailbone down, chin drawn in. Inhale, lengthen spine, open up the front of the heart, long through the spine, the neck. Exhale, folding forward again, drawing the tailbone towards the earth. And then inhale, rising up to the top. As she reaches to the sky, little finger, ring finger moving together. And then exhale, the arms to the side like swimming up a chimney. And then inhale, the arms come up, reaching up towards the sky, pressing the palms together. As she exhales, leading with that open heart, diving it forward. Then on the inhale, chin comes up. And then exhale, folding, working always to bring that palms down so you're really coiled into an active engagement. Inhale all the way up to the top. And then exhaling, arms to the side. So modified sun series. I inhale, the arms come up for Ekam, the first breath. And then Dve, she exhales, she forward folds for Dve, the second breath. Palms come down to the floor, fingers will work. You can also bend your knees. Inhale, lift your chin. And then as you exhale, step back into high plank pose. So high plank pose and Chaturanga Dandasana are almost like Samastihitihi. You want to feel the inner thighs drawn back, the groin kind of drawn back a little bit, and the ribs hugging in. Then inhale. As she exhales, she's going to move all the way past Chaturanga onto the floor, preparing for Cobra pose for a moment. And so with the bricks under, the fingertips underneath the shoulders and the legs nice and strong, pressing the legs into the floor. And on the inhale, she comes up, rolling the collarbones back, lifting the heart. Now then from here, we want to make sure that there's length in the back of the neck. So she has length in the back of the neck, but at the same time, we want to feel the stretch of the throat. So as she moves into it, she's going to bring the back of her skull back, lifting the chin and throat up. Mindful not to collapse into the back of the neck. Super important not to do too much compression here, but to maximize the stretch across the front plane of the body. Then she exhales and she comes back down to the floor. That was a long breath. And then on your next inhale, go ahead and press up into plank pose, deep breath. And then exhale into downward facing dog, hips lift towards the sky. So long arms, long legs in the down dog. Now 5 breaths here in this posture. Doing that ujjayi breathing, so she wants to have the navel drawn up, back, and in so that there's a deepening of the groin. And then the breath, the ujjayi breathing will help to activate Uddiyana Bandha, which is the engaging of the lower abdominals. And then at the same time, it also helps to tone the pelvic floor. Her head is heavy, gaze drawn towards her navel a little bit more, so she's really hugged in. Take 1 more breath on the inhale. And then as you exhale, press the breath, look forward, step or float towards the front of the mat. Inhale, lift chin from chest, heart expands and opens. Exhale, fold deeply forward, pressing into the floor, hands and feet. Reverse swan dive, inhale, rising up, reach up, press palms, look up at the thumbs. Exhale, arms to the side, Samastihitihi. Inhale, arms come up, Ekam. And then exhale, Dve, folding forward, open heart, forward fold, palms press into the earth. She can shift her hands forward just a little bit in order to float or step back into Chaturanga Dandasana. And that's Chaturanga, just like that Samastihiti, we want to have that engagement. Then up dog, pressing. As you exhale into down dog, lifting the hips up towards the sky. Drawing the inner thighs back, the groin deepens. 1. So that vibrant breath helps to heat the body up in a nice strong way. 3. 4. Take 1 more inhale. And then as you exhale, pressing the breath out, lift to the front, float or step to the front. Inhale, lifting chin up off chest. Exhale, pressing into the floor, palms root into the floor, feet as well. Inhale, rising up. And exhale, arms to the side, Samastihitihi. Let's do 3 more. Inhaling, arms come up, ekam. Palms press, look at thumbs. Exhale, dve, folding forward, pressing breath out at the very last. Coil the tailbone down, anchor it into the earth. Inhale, lift chin from chest, shift weight forward. And then exhale, step back or float, low push-up pose, Chaturanga Dandasana, beautiful. Up dog, inhale, pull the roof of the mouth towards the sky, lifting the chin. And then exhale, the hips towards the sky, downward facing dog. And so elongating out through the waist, so we want to really create some space by drawing the hips back, reaching out through the arms, drawing the belly button back up and in, and then breathing the breath, letting the breath kind of really work inside the body, allowing the breath to move the body in subtle ways, helping it to be an organizing principle for the posture. At the end of this next breath, press the breath all the way out, look forward, step forward or float towards the front. Inhale, lift chin from chest. As you exhale, fold deeply forward, pressing into the floor each time, tailbone and hands. Inhale, rising all the way up to the top. And then exhale, arms to the side, Samastihiti. And again, inhaling, arms up, ekam, look up at the thumbs. Exhale, Dve, long spine, forward fold, palms press into the earth, tailbone grounds. Inhale, lift chin. And then exhale, step back or float, low push-up, Chaturanga Dandasana. Tailbone dives through, lift heart. And then exhale, hips towards the sky. Really strong through the legs. Seeing if you can think or imagine about that you're trying to plug your femur bone into your hip socket so you're nice and engaged in the pelvic floor. As she reaches back through her heels, we want to feel the sensation of lifting energy up the inner thighs all the way up towards your groin. Again, inner thighs drawn back outside the hips, drawn back, fingers nice and rooted. Deep breath, inhale, and then finishing the exhale, pressing the breath, step forward or float to the front. Lifting chin, inhale, and then exhale, fold deeply forward, pressing into the mat. Inhale, reverse, rising up to the top. And exhale, arms to the side, Samastihiti. Last one, ekam, inhale. And Dve, exhale, fold forward, long open heart. Inhale, lift chin from chest. And then exhale, step or float, low push-up pose, Chaturanga. Up dog, tailbone dives through, pull the heart open. Exhale, hips towards the sky for down dog. Deepening the groin, drawing the inner thighs back up and in. So her shoulder blades are moving away from one another so there's space for her head to move. Arms reaching forward. Take one more inhale. And then finish your exhale entirely. Bend the knees, float or step to the front. Lift chin from chest on, inhale. As you exhale, fold deeply forward, pressing breath out. Inhale, reverse swan, rise up to the top, palms press. And then exhale, arms to the side, Samastihiti. So Surya Namaskar, Utkatasana, set weight into the heels, reach the arms up, press the palms, look up at the thumbs. Again, try to keep long through the back of the neck, but lifting the chin up. Exhale, Dve, folding forward, pressing the breath out as her hands come down towards the floor, tailbone roots in. Inhale, lift chin and throat. As you exhale, step back or float, low push-up, Chaturanga Dandasana. Up dog on the inhale. Down dog as she exhales, pressing the breath all the way out. Right foot steps forward into a deep lunge. And then inhale, unrolling, she comes up into Warrior One, Virabhadrasana 1. And then exhaling, hands come back down to the floor. Palms press into the earth, stepping back, low push-up pose. Up dog, tail dives through, lift heart. Exhale the hips towards the sky, gaze towards the navel for a moment. Left foot steps forward, deep lunge, back heel down, inhale, unroll, rising up, Virabhadrasana 1. Exhale, palms back down to the floor. Coil the tailbone in as you step back into Chaturanga. Up dog, tail dives through. Exhale, hips towards the sky. Nice. Now 5 breaths. 2. 3. So having that audible ujjayi breathing, 4. And then at the end of your 5th breath, look to the front. Float forward or step to the front. Inhale, lift chin from chest. Exhale, dive it forward. Inhale, rising up. exhale, arms to the side. We skipped an Utkatasana there. So deep Utkatasana. And then today, folding forward, long exhale, fold forward. Press the palms into the earth, bend the knees as you need. Lift your chin, inhale, shift weight to the hands. Exhale, low push-up pose. You can always step, but floating back eventually. Inhale, up, dog. And then exhale, down dog. Gaze towards the navel as you step your right foot forward and your left foot moves towards flat. Inhale, coming up, deep breath, rising up. Look up at the thumbs. Exhale, the palms back down to the floor. Low push-up pose. Up dog. Inhale, pull the heart through. Down dog. Exhale, hips towards the sky. The left foot steps forward now. And then the back foot's flat. Inhale, Ekadasha, 11th pose, reaching up to the sky. And exhale, low push-up pose, Chaturanga Dandasana. Urdhva Mukha, upward facing. And then exhale, hips to the sky for Adho Mukha. So the long spine, the long legs, strong and active. 2. 3. 4. One more inhale. Finishing out the exhale, bending the knees, step forward or float to the front. Inhale, lift chin from chest. Exhale, forward fold, pressing breath out. Utkatasana, inhale, arms come up, look up at the thumbs. And then exhale, Samastihiti. And again, inhaling, Ekam, arms come up, reach up to the sky. Exhale, the way, fold forward, palms flat. Inhale, lift chin from chest. Exhale, low push-up pose, Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, up dog, Urdhva Mukha. And then exhale to down dog, hips to sky. Right leg steps forward for warrior 1. Inhale, unrolling, uncoiling, rising up. Nice. And exhale, hands back down to the floor. Down. Nava, inhaling up dog. Dasha, exhale, downward facing dog. Left foot steps forward. And then inhale, Ekadasha. And then exhale, Dvadasha, low push-up pose, pressing breath out. Inhale, Trayudasha, peeling the back of the skull back. And exhale, Chaturasha, hips up towards the sky. So we activate those 3 different regions of our practice. We call it the drishti, which is where we set our gaze at the focal point of our postures. The ujjayi breathing, that audible breath pattern that moves throughout the entire body, situating and organizing the energies within the body. But then the bandhas, the engagement of the lower pelvic floor, and then also the midline waist, the Uddiyana bandha. So we want to have that abdominal engagement. 1 breath, inhaling. And then as you exhale, finish your exhale, pressing breath, look forward, front of the mat. Inhale, lift chest for chin. As you exhale, fold forward, Utkatasana, squeeze the legs, inhale, set deep, reach arms up. Samastihiti, exhale, arms to the side. Last one. Ekam, inhale for the first posture. Today, exhale, palms flat, hands on floor. Inhale, lift chin from chest. Exhale, low push-up, Chaturanga Dandasana. Urdhva Mukha, look off the tip of the nose. Adho Mukha, hips up towards the sky. And then step the right foot forward for warrior 1. Inhale, back heel flat, arms reaching up. And then exhale the hands back down to the floor for Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, lifting the heart. Exhale, lifting the hips. Left foot steps forward, inhaling, Virabhadrasana, unrolling, rising up. And then exhale the hands back down, low push-up pose, pressing breath out. Inhale fully. Exhale fully, hips towards the sky. And 1. 2. 3. 4. One more inhale. Pressing the breath, bending the knees, float or step to the front. Inhale, lift chin from chest. Exhale, fold deeply forward. Utkatasana, arms come up, reach up, look up at the thumbs. And then Samastihiti. Exhaling, arms to the side. Bringing hands to the waist, Padangustasana, feet float apart, hip width distance. Inhale, lifting heart. Exhale, deepening through the groin as you fold forward. Grab big toes, peace sign, fingers, thumbs. Inhale, lift the heart. Exhale, elbows wide. So we always want to be mindful that the tailbone is rooting into the posture. So we want to feel that rooted quality as we fold into our forward folds. And then we want to feel the shoulder blades move away from one another. So the shoulder blades as they draw back. And then the collarbones as well. We want to add just the element of a Bhujangasana, cobra pose. So we have that little bit of an opening and pressing through the heart. At the same time, the tailbone still dives through. The head is heavy, gaze off the tip of the nose towards the belly button eventually one day. And then 5, inhale, lift chin from chest. Padahastasana, palms underneath the feet, fingertips point back. Inhale, lift chin from chest, that same cobra action. As you exhale, the elbows draw wide. Head is heavy, gaze drawn off the nose, so the neck is long. 2. Balancing effort and ease. 3. 4. And at the end of the 5th breath, pressing breath out, tailbone down. Inhale, lift chin from chest. Exhale, the hands back to the waist. Peel the hips back as you rise up. Inhale. And then the feet together, Samastihiti. Udita Trikonasana. So she steps the right foot back, nice wide step, rotating towards the back of the mat. As she exhales, reaching out, right arm reaches long, bending, so keeping the front leg straight for triangle posture. And then bending the front leg as much as you need to, reach down, grab for the big toe, peace sign, finger and thumb, left arm up towards the sky, fingers together. And then if she's able, she can take her chin and draw towards her upper shoulder so she can look up towards the sky. Looks good. Pressing the right big toe mound into the floor, the back outer heel down. And then still feeling that return of energy up the inner thighs. 3. Good. 4. At the end of the 5th breath, looking down to free the neck. Inhale, coming up. Rotate both feet. Exhale, reach forward. Find the big toe. Bend the front leg a little bit if you need to. And then inhale, wave-like motion fills up the back of the body, opening up the heart, reaching fingertip to fingertip. And again, we want our neck to be long, so if it's hard to look up towards your upper shoulder and still maintain a relative amount of comfort, you can look straight out, but the neck is long, or towards the floor, but the neck is long. 3, 4, and then 5. On the inhale, coming up, rolling. Then take your left arm up towards the sky, squaring through your hips a little bit. As you exhale, the hand to the floor on the outside of your front foot. And then breathing. 1. So she spins open into the posture. The right big toe mount still pressing into the floor. Lots of strength back. Outer heel rooted into the floor. And then spinning the heart open. Left shoulder drawn towards across the front ankle a little bit as you're able. And then again, the neck is long, more important than the gaze looking all the way up towards the top. 1 more breath. Finishing the exhale, tailbone drops down, looking down. Inhale, windmill, drawing up. Left arms or right arms up and lifted. As she exhales, reaching out. So your exhale should take you all the way into the posture. Palm pressing against the floor on the outside. And there's almost an element of squeezing ankle to wrist, wrist to ankle, then looking up towards your upper thumb. As you're able, that's the drishti, rolling the left shoulder onto the back of the body. 2, nice. 3, 4, and then 5, looking down. Inhale, windmill, drawing up. And then stepping to the front, Samastihiti. Nicely done. And then it's Utti Itta Parshvakonasana, so extended side angle. Inhale, stepping the right foot back again. Rotate right toes and your left foot around. Bending the right leg deeply. Hand to the outside of your front foot. So hand to the outside of the front foot's ideal. Eventually left arm reaching out at a nice long extended angle. If this ever feels like it's a little bit too much depth there, you can always bring your elbow towards your knee just to build the strength in it, but eventually hand or fingertips on the floor. Drawing the right sitting bone forward so that there's this kind of liftedness of the abdomen, even as you feel this reaching across the front thigh. 4, and then 5. On the inhale, coming up, switching out your legs. As you exhale, bend your front leg deeply, back outer heel down, front big toe mound pressing into the earth. The left hand comes down, the right arm up and over. And then the protraction of your upper shoulder blade, the armpit wraps in so that the palm is towards the floor. Back, outer heels down, always available to use a brick in this posture. It helps you facilitate the grounded action, and at the same time, they feel that expansion of that reaching action. 4, and then 5, inhale, coming up, and then rotating towards the back of the mat. So you have 2 options. You can bring this directly into the revolve variation of the pose. I recommend bringing the back heel up off the floor as needed. Taking the left arm way up towards the sky. As you exhale, dropping your left shoulder across the top of your front shin, palm down to the floor or a brick, and then the right arm up and over. Again, protracting the shoulder blade, feeling that reaching action, side body long, and then eventually looking up at the palm, the thumb drawn back behind so that there's just this element of the rooting of the right sits bone forward, the spinning of the chest open, and the drawing of the thumb back helps to facilitate that. 4. And then 5, at the end of the exhale, looking down, inhale, windmill, bringing it up. Left arm long, bending the front leg deeply, back heel can come up as needed. Bend the palm to the floor on the outside of that front leg. And so we do have that revolve prayer option. However, I really appreciate it when people are able to start to work, whether it's the brick or whether it's the floor. It allows us to build the pattern inside the body for this pose. So I prefer to elevate the floor a little bit than to modify it all the way out of the posture. Nice. 3, dropping the left hip down and forward a little bit. 4, and then 5, looking down, inhale, windmill, drawing up. And then exhale to the front, Samastitihi. Prasarita Padottanasana, stepping the right foot back, hands automatically to the waist, bringing the hands back. That's the inhale, groin draws back. As she exhales, forward folding, pressing the breath out as she folds. Palms down to the floor. So as she brings the palms down to the floor, walking them back until the heel to hands are almost up off the floor. Inner thighs drawn back. And then trying to draw the head down to the floor, even though it might not necessarily get there. She always has good mobility in her hips, so it's an easy task, not easy task, it's never an easy task, but lifting the quadriceps up. 3, 4, and then 5, lift chin from chest, inhale, exhale, hands back to the hips, rising up, nice deep breath. Exhale, anchor down through the tailbone towards the earth. And then inhale, lift the heart up. As she exhales, as you exhale, the inner thighs are going to draw back as you forward fold. Keeping the hands here for part B. Inhale, lifting the heart open a little bit. As you exhale, folding deeply. Legs are strong, quadriceps are engaged. Inner thighs are drawn back. Trying to deepen the groin a little bit, but making sure the legs are strong. Sits bones pressing down towards the floor. 3, 4, and then 5. On the inhale, drawing up. As she exhales, as you exhale, tailbone drawn down. Arms come out nice and wide, and then dropping just the thumb so that you can interlace your fingers behind. The little fingers or ring fingers might move away from one another for the appropriate shoulder opening. Inhale, lifting the chest up towards the sky. As you exhale, folding forward. As you reach about 3/4 of the way into the pose, dropping your head towards the earth and letting the arms rotate forward towards the floor. So the shoulders are going to drop away from your ears, rolling them forward. The chin is almost like it's trying to draw towards your chest. And so you'll feel the shoulders drop over as much as it feels comfortable. Be mindful, shoulders are complex joints, and so we want to move into these postures slowly. 4, and then 5, inhale, coming up. Exhale, anchoring down through the tailbone, hands move back to the waist. Inhale, lift the heart up for part D. Exhale, folding forward again. Exhale, long exhale, body folding forward. And then reaching out, grabbing big toes, peace sign fingers and thumbs. So we want to have a nice firm grip with our peace sign finger and thumb, almost like we have a fist with our big toe in the middle of it. And then the heart expands forward, and then drawing the head to the floor. Now, so see, since her head is easily on the mat here, she can start to draw her head through more and looking up towards the sky. Sometimes that means that she might need to bring her feet a little bit closer together for the challenging aspect of it. 2, 3, 4, and then 5. Inhale, lifting your heart forward like a halfway lift. Exhale, the hands to the waist. And then inhale, come all the way up to the top. And exhale, stepping to the front of the mat, Samasthihi. Parshvattanasana, taking it in steps. The arms come out nice and wide. Drop your thumbs down, roll the tops of the shoulders forward, palms together behind the heart. So fists will work, palms will work as well, or opposite elbows if you have shoulder issues. Then taking a shorter step to the right, rotating all the way towards the back of the mat. Extra breath here. Inhale, lift the heart. As you exhale, folding out over the front leg. Now it can bend a little bit, but we want it to move towards straightening. So we never really want to lock out our joints, but we always want to move in the general direction of straightening out through the legs. Pressing through the front big toe mound, the back outer heels rooted deeply into the floor. Energy drawn up the inner thighs. 3, 4, and then 5. Inhale, coming up. And exhale, rotating towards the front of the mat. Again, an extra breath here so that we can really roll open the heart, lifting the chin. As she exhales, as you exhale, folding forward, long exhale, chin towards your front shin. And 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. On the inhale, coming up. And then exhaling to the front, Samasthihi. And Utthita Hasta Padangusthasana, hand to big toe pose. Elbows drawn back behind you a little bit. Still the same thing, we want to feel the groin drawn back within the rib cage, hugging in. Rooting down through your left leg, reaching down, finding your right big toe, bending the knee as you need to. Inhale, reaching forward with your big toe. As you exhale, left rib cage wraps around. You want to feel this squeezing across the midline. And the elbow, the right elbow drawn back a little bit. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. Inhale, standing up. Exhale, opening out to the right side, pushing through the big toe mound. 2. And then gaze drawn over to the left just a little bit. 3, 4, and then 5. Inhale, the leg comes forward. Exhale, squeezing in. Lift that leg way up, way up, way up, hugging in. And then inhale, stand up, hands to the waist. So feeding the thigh bone in towards the hip socket. It's probably the hardest pose to demonstrate. 3, 4, and then 5. Release the right foot down, rooted into the floor. Lots of power and strength. Reach down, find your left big toe. So you hug in through the core, reaching the left foot forward. And then exhaling, right rib cage wraps in as you draw the body forward. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. Inhale, standing up. Exhale, opening to the side, strong legs. Then the gaze gently drawn out towards the right side. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. The leg comes forward on inhale. And then the exhale coils tailbone down as you lift and straighten out. Inhale, come up. Float the foot. 1, 2, 3. Broaden the heart. 4, and then 5. Release. Nicely done. Little wiggle. Little shimmy. That's one of my favorite part. All right. Ardha Baddha Padangusthasana, bound lotus forward fold. So with the left leg becoming the root, the foundation, the root, opening up, lifting up the right leg, opening it to the side. So this is a bound lotus halfward or forward fold. The heel comes up to the hip crease, knee drops forward a little bit. Then the right arm will come up, dropping the thumb back, reach for your toes. Now not everybody can grab the toes, and some people have discomfort in their knees. And so you can stay right here, pressing kidneys back. However, if you're prepared to, left arm comes up and you fold forward, or you can fold forward, bringing both hands to the floor. It's a pretty intense posture, so it's a posture we cultivate over a long period of time. Eventually gaze towards the navel, and then the left hand beside the foot on the floor, like a extra leg. 3, 4, and then 5, lifting the chin forward, inhale, coming up, and then exhaling, tailbone drops down, right leg draws down to the floor, and then the left side, so bringing the left knee to the outside, just to get the external rotation, and then the heel draws up towards the right hip crease. Good. And then the left arm comes up when you're ready. Reaching back, find your big toe. And then the right arm comes up and forward, folding. Making sure the knees are healthy here. Palms might eventually come down to the floor. Usually just doing your best with a posture that has so many different complex rotations. Over a period of time, we want to cultivate this practice. 3, 4, and then 5. Inhale, lifting, looking forward, slowly coming up. And then exhaling the foot down to the floor. So that can cause some lightheadedness, so we automatically arms up. And then exhale, folding, pressing the breath out as you fold forward. Inhale, lift chin from chest. Exhale, low push-up pose, Chaturanga Dandasana. Pressing breath out, up dog on the inhale. And then down dog, exhale, hips towards the sky. Bending the knees immediately, float forward, Utkatasana. Set weight to the heels, arms come up, reach up to the sky, look up at the thumbs. 1, 2, 3, lifting the chin a little bit, 4, and then 5. Palms press against the earth, forward folding. Inhale, lifting chin from chest. And then exhale, stepping back or floating back, low push-up pose, Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhaling, Pamucha. And then exhaling, shot gaze towards the navel. Right foot steps forward for Virabhadrasana 1. Inhale, coming up deep into that front leg lunge. Arms come up, pressing palms, look up at the thumbs. Good. 1, 2, right sitting bones feeding forward a little bit, even as the right thigh hugs back in. And then 5, inhale, come up, rotate towards the back of the mat. Warrior 1, so palms together, back heel down, good. 1, 2, feeling the wrapping of the triceps in. 3, 4, and then 5. From there, Warrior 2, opening up into Virabhadrasana 2. So you have to adjust your stance in this transition. Sometimes we think Warrior 1 and Warrior 2 have the same foot arrangement. Not really for most people, so always making sure that your feet are appropriately aligned when you move into your Warrior 2 from that Warrior 1. And then reaching fingertip to fingertip, broadening the upper back so that you feel this opening in the front of the heart. Shoulder blades drawn down after that. 4, and then 5. Come up on the inhale, rotate towards the front. As you exhale, bending the front leg deep. Want to make sure that your knee's not to the inside of your heel, but it's directly in the same direction. 2, 3, 4, and then 5. Arms come up, inhale. Palms press into the earth as you exhale, stepping or floating it back, low push-up pose, Chaturanga Dandasana. And then Urdhva Mukha, inhale, gaze at the nose and up dog. Exhale, Adho Mukha, hips towards the sky for down dog. And then bending the knees, looking forward, step forward or float forward and step down onto your backside for Dandasana, legs straight out in front. Toes flex back towards your face here. Legs need to be nice, strong, and active. Think in terms of lifting up the top of the bottom of the quadricep and the top of the shin. Those 2 areas of the leg are lifting up towards the sky, but then using quadricep engagement to also straighten the leg. So those 2 patterns work in conjunction with one another to create stability in the leg without hyperextending or locking it too much. So the legs are on fire, they're strong here. On the inhale, lifting the chin forward. As you exhale, reach forward and grab your big toe for Paschimottanasana. So that Paschimottanasana, she's lifting up with her hands and drawing the big toes back. Elbows drawn wide so the collarbones are spreading. Trying not to fold forward too much, but keeping that upward lifted action and then really extending out over the legs. 3, 4, and then 5. Inhale, lifting chin up off chest. Exhale, reaching around the outsides of the feet. Thumb on the big toe knuckle, little fingers drawn back. So grabbing, so bring your hands, big toe knuckle. There you go. And then peeling the feet back so that she has something to press against. So she presses with the outsides of her feet into the hands. At the same time, the big toe knuckle is pressing against your thumb. So it's a little bit the opposite of the first variation. 3, 4, and then 5. Inhale, come up. As you exhale, bring your chin to your chest, your hands back to the floor behind you. Press into the floor, come into reverse plank pose. Heels press down, toes work towards the floor, lifting the heart up. Lengthen the tailbone forward, curling it up towards the sky, looking off the tip of the nose, pressing the toes towards the earth. 3, 4, and then 5. Hips come down to the floor, and then crossing the shins, plant the hands on the inhale, lifting up. So bricks can be useful to train the body how to move through this flowing. And then step back or float back, Chaturanga Dandasana. This up dog inhale, pulling the heart forward and through. Down dog, exhale, gaze towards the navel. And then stepping or floating forward and sitting down. So legs straight out in front. Always kind of starting in that Dandasana form from our seated postures. Then taking the right leg up, so Ardha Baddha Padma, Paschimottanasana, bound lotus, forward fold. And so she'll bring the heel up towards the hip crease, and then taking the right hand, reaching it back towards her foot on the back side there. Reaching back. And then the left arm up, reach forward, find the outside of your front foot. And so again, the thumb pressing into the big toe knuckle, little finger, little toes pressing into the hands. Inhaling hard forward and exhale, folding forward. Outside of the right body's kind of hugging towards the midline. The elbow, as it draws back, broadens the left side of the body. The knees drawn towards the midline a little bit. 3, 4, and then 5. On the inhale, lift the chin. Exhale, release, crossing the shin. So lifting up just in between postures for this shorter variation of the series. Inhale and exhale, releasing down, both legs out in front initially. Draw the left knee in towards your chest, open it to the side, heel up to the hip crease. Left arm comes up, inhale, reach it back, finding your foot. Right arm comes up, and exhale, folding forward. So if there's ever issues with knees or the knees are just uncomfortable, it's a good opportunity to practice non-violence or ahimsa and just bringing the brick underneath the knee. It can be a nice way to protect the knee and at the same time continue to work into the posture. 3, right elbow's drawn out, opening up the heart. 4, and then 5. Inhale, lift your gaze, and exhale, releasing, hands to the floor. This time a full vinyasa, crossing shins. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, low push-up pose, Chaturanga Dandasana. Always moving from where you're at. Up dog, and then down dog, hips towards the sky. Tiranga Mukha Ekapada Paschimottanasana. Step forward or float forward and sit down. So we want our hips on the floor, bringing your right heel beside your hips. So we want to feel the right heel drawn back, toes point straight back. We want to make sure that we have compression in the knee, but it's not too extreme. The heel, toes pointing straight back so the heel's directly up. If you need to, you can always sit on a brick with your left hip, or even just a blanket or towel can be useful. Then inhaling, exhale, finding your other wrist out in front. Inhale, lift your heart forward, and then exhale, folding forward. So the foot is engaged, the front foot's engaged. It can point forward a little bit, toes flex back towards face. That can be a way to get a different stretch in the posture. 3, 4, and then 5. Inhale, come up, and then exhale. She takes and she crosses her shins, and then switching up just a little bit, lifting, inhale, and exhale, releasing back down. Switching out the legs. This time the left heel comes back beside. So drawing the heel right to the outside. Here. And then inhale, lifting heart. Exhale, reaching forward. And again, sitting on a brick or a towel with your outer right hip can be a really useful thing until you find the pattern in the posture. 1, 2, elongating, side body's long. 3, 4, and then 5. Inhale, lift chin, and then exhale, folding, hands to the floor beside you, cross your shins, and then again, a vinyasa, lifting and floating or stepping, Chaturanga Dandasana. Up dog, inhaling. And down dog, exhale. Janu Shirshasana A. Float through and set down, or step forward and set down. And then left heel is left leg straight out in front, right heel's drawn in. Then from that position, lifting the heart up, reaching forward, finding your front foot. So that's that first inhale. And then the exhale, folding deeply into the posture, keeping the chin up off the chest with the neck long. So that action, kind of a Jalandhar bow into action. Just Jalandhar is this long throat engagement that also has the quality of lengthening the neck. It can be a subtle thing, can be very useful in the way we provide context for our posture. So it's something to continuously work on. 4, and then 5, lift your chin a little bit more, exhale, releasing, crossing shins, find the lift up, inhale, and exhale, releasing, switching sides. So this time the right leg straight out in front from the hip, then bending the left knee, draw it in, heel in towards the inner thigh. Then inhale, lifting up out of the waist, creating length. Exhale, folding deeply forward. Now, there's always 5 breaths in these postures. So that first breath might facilitate an opening, utilizing the breath to help to create almost a sense of extension and momentum as you fold forward. And again, keeping length in the back of the neck, but always lifting it and opening the throat. So our drishti, our gaze here, is the big toe. 3, 4, and then 5. Inhale, chin comes up. Exhale, release, cross your shins, and then find your vinyasa, lifting up and step back or float back, chaturanga. Sometimes crawling back becomes the thing. Inhaling and then exhaling. And so move on to Marichyasana A, posture devoted to the sage Marichi. So the right knee's drawn towards the right armpit, and we want to have something that looks like a half sit, half squat. So with the right foot on the floor, we come up onto our right foot. So it has this quality of lifted on the right side. Then the left hip moves down to the floor. The right arm comes up, inhale, side body long, reaching way out in front, dropping the thumb, reaching back, and finding your other hand. So if that's too uncomfortable, you can keep your hand on the floor. Inhale, and then exhale, bringing your chin towards your front shin. Front leg is still strong and engaged. 2. Initially, we start with the right hand grabbing the left wrist. That's where we're eventually going, but you can also interlace your fingers with the palms facing back behind you. Both actions will help to facilitate a proper shoulder alignment. 4, and then 5. Inhale, coming up, and exhale, releasing, finding your lift. Inhale, lift up off the floor. Exhale, releasing. And then the second side, bring your left knee up. Find that half sit, half squat. So shift that energy forward. Lifting up, reaching out, dropping the thumb, reaching back. Again, hands can be on the floor. Tricep tugged in, inhale, heart forward, and then looking towards the front big toe. 1. Toes flex back towards the face. 2. 3. 4. And then 5. Inhale, lifting chin. Exhale, releasing. So full vinyasa this time, lifting up off the floor on inhale. And then exhale, moving it back for chaturanga dandasana. Up dog, inhaling. And then down dog, exhaling, hips towards the sky. And then Marichyasana B. Float through and set down. So it's a similar posture, but this time do you do the half lotus on this one? So it's gonna be your other leg first. So she'll bend the knee, bringing the heel up to the half lotus position. Then the right leg bends and hugging it up towards the hip crease. Foot here, so your kind of in there. Yep, there you go. Then the right arm comes up, inhale, dropping the thumb, reaching back, finding the other hand, or hands can stay towards the floor. Then inhaling, beautiful. Exhale, bringing the forehead towards the floor. So there's almost a rabbit pose kind of action here where we coil the tailbone down a little bit and breathe into the back of the body as you elongate out and over the front of the fold. 2, the arms drawn back, and if you have the mobility, you can even almost start to lift them up off of the hips a little, and that helps facilitate just a little bit more shoulder opening. 3, 4, And then 5, inhale, the chin comes up, exhale, releasing, and then finding that lift. It's like rinsing out the posture in between. And exhale, switching out the sides. So the heel comes up. I generally, because it's a little stiff in this posture, I'll bring my heel directly onto the floor in front of the sitting bone. Just adds a little bit more comfort for me. Inhaling, the left arm comes up. Exhale, dropping the thumb, reaching back, finding the bind, or again, hands can be on the floor. Inhale, lift chin. Exhale, curl in. And 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. Inhale, lift the heart. Exhale, release. Cross your shins, plant the hands, lift up on the inhale, and then exhale, low push-up pose, Chaturanga Dandasana. Up dog on the breath, inhaling. And then down dog, exhale, hips towards the sky. Marichyasana C. Float through, sit down. And then from here, taking your right knee and drawing the right knee towards your chest, less to the outside, more to the inside. Still, we want to have a little bit of weight. Then the left arm comes up. As you exhale, reaching out across, draw the tailbone forward, coil, create flexion in your lower back, drop the thumb down, then from there, reaching back behind you, working for your other hand. There's a deep twist here. The chin comes up, the collarbones roll back, looking towards the back of the mat, keeping the front foot strong. Toes flex back or forward. You want to make sure that we have muscular engagement there. 3, beautiful pose. 4, and then 5. Look forward, inhale, exhale, releasing, finding the lift. Inhale, coming up, and then switching out the sides. This time, the right leg draws back. Left leg draws back, then other arm. And then inhaling, right arm comes up, drop the thumb down, and then working into your bind. Hand can come to the hip, or drop the thumb and reach back. On the inhale, lifting the heart up, and then look towards the back of the room. Back, spinning back. The tailbone's drawn under a little bit, so there's flexion in the lower back, meaning you have a coiling of the tailbone, but then a lifting of the upper back. 3, 4, and then 5. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, releasing. Then crossing the shins, lift up. Inhale, set back or float. Low push-up pose, Chaturanga Dandasana. So I always want to remind people that knees, chest, chin feels brilliant at this point. All right, let's move into Navasana boat pose. The posture everybody forgets when they think, oh, I'm going to just go ahead and demonstrate today. Then lifting up the back of the heart. Lift the chin up off the chest. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. Crossing the shins, plant the hands, lift up off the floor. Inhale, nice. Exhale, hips down, legs up. Inhale. So you can modify and bring your hands underneath. You can bend the knees a little bit. I find that lifting up the legs higher and then lifting up the chin can be a little bit more dynamic, and sometimes that dynamic energy will help you hold the pose a little bit more. And then 5, hands down onto the floor. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, hips down, legs up. Inhaling, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. Crossing shins. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, release down. One more time. Legs come up. Inhaling, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. Hands come down. Inhale, lift up off the floor, and then step back or float back. Chaturanga Dandasana. Up dog. Inhale, and then down dog. Exhale. So up until this point, we've done a lot of asymmetrical postures. So we're going to work into a little bit more symmetry with Baddha Konasana. So step forward, float forward, sit down. Soles of the feet together this time. Hold soles of the feet. So just because it's a kind of a quicker series, we're skipping postures. In this case, we're just working through those more introductory actions. So soles of the feet drawn together, heels drawn back. And then the first one, I like to do 3 different variations. The first one, we're just setting up remarkably straight. And then drawing the chin back of the skull spreads. Feeling the lift from the lower back. 3, 4, and then 5. Thumbs to the insides of the feet. Peel the feet open like a book. Elbows hug the ribs. Inhale. Exhale, leaning forward. So the forward lean here is super important, thinking about the pubic bone dropping down, but then squeezing forward, tailbone dropping down and squeezing forward so that the thighs rotate open like lotus petals. 4, and then 5. Inhale, setting up straight, keeping the thumbs on the inside, but taking the elbows forward a little bit. Inhale, and this time, forehead towards big toes, Shambhavi Mudra, coiling in. 1. So this should be a point of meditation. Anytime we find ourselves in a mudra posture, we're working towards creating a deeper internal alignment. 4, and then 5. Inhale, lift chin from chest. Exhale, releasing, and then there's a vinyasa here, lifting up off the earth, and then stepping back or floating it back, low push-up pose. So again, knees, chest, chin's always brilliant. Inhaling, and exhaling, hips to sky. Upavishta Konasana, float forward and sit down. So legs nice and wide here, so about 90 degrees, maybe even 100 degrees, reaching out, finding big toes, peace sign, fingers and thumbs. Inhale, lift the heart forward. And then exhale, forward fold, elbows drawn wide. And so in this one, we want to feel the front of the pelvis rotate over the femur bones, right? So the hip sockets rotate a little bit, so the femur rotates in the hip so that you can kind of feel the pubic bone drop down. Tailbone continuously anchors, but then feeling the external rotation of the thighs in order to really find that opening that you need to bring your chest eventually towards the floor. 4. And then 5, and then one of the more dynamic actions in the postures. Leaning back, you can release your feet if you need to, but coming up onto your hips. Lifting the chest, pulling the ears back. 1, 2. My teacher always talks about the action here should feel a lot like a calf suckling. So the chin is up, reaching. Sometimes there's a sound. And lifting the chin up. Exhale, then inhale here. We'll skip the vinyasa and slowly roll onto our back. So we want to feel this shoulder roll all the way. The toes come to the floor behind you. We want to feel, it takes us, sometimes this is an awkward action. The toes come down. We want to feel the shoulders getting a little bit of a massage. Not the neck, the shoulders, the ridge of the shoulder blades. And so we want to feel that fascia material start to move in the upper back, start to create a little bit of softness so that we're prepared for shoulder stand later to come. 1 more full breath, exhaling, and then inhale, come back up onto the hips, pause for a moment, inhale, and then exhale slowly, the heels come down to the floor, and then there's a vinyasa, crossing the shins, plant the hands, lifting and floating, moving through the vinyasa that's appropriate for your body, and exhale the hips towards the sky, and then go ahead and float forward and sit down one more time, legs out in front, well, probably more times than one, but all right, and then inhaling here, exhale, lay all the way onto your back. And then a nice stretch here. Lifting up the right leg towards the sky. Reach up, find your big toe, peace sign, fingers, thumb. And then as you exhale, bringing left hand onto the thigh, left rib cage towards your upper quadricep. So Kristen has a lot of flexibility here. So it's more difficult because she has to push her heel forward using leg strength, hamstring engagement, and at the same time, upper body's pulling forward. 4, and then 5, laying down, inhale, exhale, the right leg opens up to the outside, the toes come down. Keeping the left hip down, left hand on thigh, looking towards the side. 1, 2, 3, nice, 4, and then 5, the leg comes back up on the inhale. As she exhales, squeezing in, ribs towards your front thigh, hugging up off the earth. Inhale, laying back down. And then exhale, the foot comes back down to the floor. Left side, the left leg comes up. Reach up for your big toe. Exhale, right rib cage wraps in, right palm onto the thigh. Pressing it down. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. Inhale, laying down. Exhale, leg opens to the outside. Gaze towards the right. Bringing the right hand firmly rooting the thigh. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. Inhale, the leg comes up. Exhale, squeeze it in. Inhale, laying down. Exhale, foot comes down. And then there's an interesting transition here where you do a backwards roll. But we do a prep pose here, so hands by your ears beside the back of the skull. Then rock back towards your shoulders. Inhale, roll back. And then exhale, either go all the way back or come forward. And then Chaturanga Dandasana, low push-up pose. Up dog, inhale. And then down dog, exhale, gaze towards your navel. And then we'll move into our finishing back bends here. So floating forward, setting down. And then slowly laying onto the back. And so we're going right into a more conventional version of our bridge pose. So fingertips almost touching the heels, feet separated about hip width distance. And then pubic bone drops forward, so it makes it feel like there's a little bit of a lower back bend. Then tailbone forward, lifting hips up off of the floor, coming into bridge pose. Walking the arms under, feel the triceps move towards one another, then the biceps hug in a little bit. So you can feel the sides of the chest opening, different stretch. Pressing the wrists down into the floor, feeling the hips lift up. The chin and the chest moves towards the chin, but the chin stays back. Should be able to move the head a little bit. 4, and then 5, hips come down to the floor. And so this time you can do either bridge pose, or if you're ready for a full wheel posture, we'll go through both entries into this pose. So if you're ready to hold just bridge pose for that time, then just hold it for that moment. But then after that, I'll cue for the full wheel pose. So starting out in bridge pose, lifting up the hips, interlacing the fingers back behind you. So work on squeezing shoulder blades together in the bridge pose here. But if you're ready for full wheel, hands come beside the ears, palms press down, elbows hugging back and then in towards one another. Inhale up onto your head or all the way up off of the floor if you have any sort of neck issues, pushing directly into the floor. 1, spread the shoulder blades wide when the arms are above the head. 2, 3, 4, and then 5, chin to chest. Inhale, shoulders come down. Exhale, feel the lower back press against the floor, sacrum releasing. And we'll do one more this morning, so just 3 this morning. And so let's go ahead and prepare. Pressing into the floor. Inhale, lift the hips up. Hands come beside the ears, pressing them in. Shoulder blades broaden at this point, slide up to the head or press all the way up towards the sky. And 1, 2, so drawing the shoulder blades away. 3, 4, and then 5, chin towards chest. Inhale, shoulders down. Exhale, lower, back down. Then we windshield wiper the legs here rather than hugging the knees in, just so that we're not going from an intense backward bend into directly into an intense forward fold. This gives a little bit of play with the hips and the SI joint. And then we'll do one of those half backwards rolls. So we're just going to bring the hands by your ears. Rock back towards your shoulders. Inhale. And then exhale to Chaturanga Dandasana. Up dog, inhale. And then down dog, exhale. And then Paschimottanasana. So it's another forward fold, Eastern stretching posture, I believe. And then reaching hands to the outsides of the feet. You can interlace the fingers if it's available to you. This time we're doing more of a forward fold, or more of a curling forward action, so that we can create more space and length in the spine. And 1, shoulders kind of might curl forward a little bit, creating space in the back of the body. 3, 4, and then 5. Inhale, setting up nice and straight. As you exhale, slowly lay onto your back for Tadagi Mudra. And again, it's kind of an interesting pose because it looks like a prep pose for Savasana. Kind of is. Every pose is a prep pose for Savasana. The big toes touching, pressing the toes forward. Thighs are engaged. Hands are pressing onto the floor beside you. Chin's gently drawn in just a little bit. Gaze down the center line of the body. Then breathing into the back of the body, almost to create the sensation of a pond in the front of the abdomen. They're called Pond Mudra. 3, 4, and then 5. From here, Viparini Karani, which is a variation of shoulder center. It's an inversion, lifting the legs up towards the sky. So we can use this as a variation, so just straight up, as a variation or kind of instead of shoulder stand. Or if you feel it's appropriate for you to move into shoulder stand, then pressing the hips up towards the skies, trying to stack the hips over the shoulders. Heels, hips, shoulders arrangement. We don't want the toes to be any further back than the thighs. So trying to keep them straight up towards the sky. Walking the elbows in as much as you're able, squeezing them back towards one another. 3, 4, and then 5. From there, inhale, exhale, toes to the floor for plow pose. If you are working on a Viparita Krani with your lower back on the floor, you can take happy baby pose. Interlacing the fingers and pressing your wrists down to the floor. And then if you have the mobility and you can keep the weight out of the neck, you can actually even flip your feet over so your toenails are on the floor. But we want to keep the hips moving forward so that we're not choking ourselves by bringing our chest too high up. And then from there, bending the knees, squeezing your ears, Karni Pidasana. Hands can separate or they can stay right where they're at. 1, 2. So the inner thighs reaching up towards the sky. 4. And then 5. Legs move towards straight. And then today we'll move right directly into our fish pose. So separating the hands, slowly lower back rolls down onto the floor. Lower back will roll all the way down to the floor. Once the legs pass about a 90-degree mark, gaze towards your belly button. Come up onto your elbows as your heels come down to the floor for your fish pose. Then looking off the tip of the nose, let the head draw back. That's the first variation for your fish pose. Eventually the head comes down to the floor. So you can walk your elbows forward, cup your glutes to your hamstrings. And that'll help you create a little bit of tension and also the engagement across the front side of the chest. We feel that action. Opening up the heart, middle back, lower back, back bend, upper back, getting an extension. In part B, pressing palms together up in front of the chest. Lift your legs up to about 30 degrees. You're pointing in basically the same direction, looking off the nose. 3, 4, and then 5, laying on your back. About 3 breaths here. And then we'll do a vinyasa here. So draw the knees in towards your chest, rock back just a little bit. Roll forward, plant the hands and float back or step chaturanga. Up dog, inhaling. And then down dog, exhale. And then we'll move in towards a headstand, but we're just going to work the headstand prep pose. So from here, interlacing the fingers, bring your elbows down onto the floor. And so I like to stay with the head off of the floor for the strength building posture. So it's more like a dolphin dog with headstand arrangement. So then pressing into the floor, lifting the head away from the earth and holding this action, feeling the strengthening effect from the underside. Wrap the armpits in so you can feel the engagement across the front line of the body. About 10 breaths here. This will help you to build the strength in the side body, feel the lifting out of the neck rather than this collapse into the neck. So we want to create traction in a way in the spine rather than compression. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then 10. Child's pose. Knees come down, legs underneath, arms can be out in front, or you can have your hands beside you, whatever feels appropriate. You want to feel the elongating of the back of the neck. For me, this posture, I almost want to just feel like I'm shedding my skin here. Letting it all go. No need to hold anything in this posture, letting the body unfold. In and out. After about 9 or 10 breaths, go ahead and continue through the series. Coming up into plank pose. Inhale. Lowering down, chaturanga. Up dog, inhale, pull the heart open. Down dog, exhale, the hips to the sky. And then Baddha Padmasana, bend the knees, float forward, sit down, or step forward and sit down. And so this is Padmasana, means lotus pose. We take lotus pose where we take a variation that's appropriate for us. First, the right foot would come up if that's appropriate for you. And then the left leg could come up if that's appropriate for you. Or half lotus pose with the heel directly underneath your hip. Generally, I'll just cross my legs most of the time, sometimes a half lotus, because when that's beautiful. Left hand comes back, reach for your left toes. Right hand comes back, reach for your right toes. So that's a tougher job on this side. And then inhale, lifting the heart forward. And exhale, folding deeply. 1, 2, 3, that's nice. 4, and then then 5, inhale, coming up, Padmasana, releasing the wrists onto the knees and finding a nice straight spine, lengthening. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. Hands come to the floor beside you. So Utplihiti, 10 breaths, lifting the hips up off of the floor. Press into the floor. Inhale, come up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then 9 and 10. Releasing hips down. And then unfolding the legs, moving through vinyasa to stand at the front of the mat. Inhaling up dog, and exhaling down dog. And then bending the knees, float forward, halfway lift upon landing. Inhale, exhale, forward fold, pressing breath out. And then inhale, reverse swan, rising up, palms press. And exhale, hands to heart center, Samastihiti. We'll go ahead and do our final mantra here. So with palms to heart center, do a call and response, beginning with an Om, deep breath. Swasti prajabhya, swasti prajabhya, pare palyantam. Pare palyantam naina margena, mahim mahesha, go pramanebhya, shubhamastu nityam, loka, samasta, sukhino, bhavantu. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. And then Samastihiti, arms to the side. And last vinyasa to Shavasana, Ekam, arms up. And Dve, exhale, forward fold. Inhale, lift chin from chest. And then exhale, low push-up pose, Chaturanga Dandasana, upward facing dog. And then downward facing dog. And then bending the knees, float forward, lay on your back for Shavasana. So you've worked hard, Kristen's worked really hard this morning, and so all of you deserve a nice long Shavasana. So I'm going to leave you here. Please feel free to stay as long as you're able. I encourage, 10 minutes is not too long for a Shavasana. If you don't have anywhere to be or you're already where you're supposed to be, just stay there. Be still, be free. In many ways, like I said a little bit ago, every pose is a prep pose for Shavasana. This is where you allow yourself to really see the benefits of the effort. It allows our resting response to be online right now. There's a lot of people that are kind of on the edge in one way or another. And so this provides a great opportunity for you to really release the tensions. Allow yourself to, again, rest deep. I'm letting this rest go for at least these 5-10 breaths. So it's really truly an honor to be with you here this morning. I thank Kristen once more for being such an excellent example of a dedicated yoga practice. So she's wonderful, so I appreciate her greatly. I'll go ahead and leave you with that. So I bow to you all.